I need to talk to you about Pathologic 3 because this game has been living in my head rent-free for weeks now, and I'm still not entirely sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's one of those experiences that doesn't just entertain you. It genuinely disturbs you, challenges you, and makes you question your own moral compass in ways that most games never even attempt. Let me set the stage for you. Pathologic 3 is a psychological horror game, but not in the way you might be thinking. There are no jump scares, no monsters hiding in closets. The horror here is much more insidious, much more real. You play as Daniil Dankovsky, and right from the start, the game tells you something crucial. You are a physician, a researcher, a prodigy even. You've dedicated your life to understanding death itself, which is already a pretty heavy premise. Your research has led you to this remote town buried deep in the eastern steppe, searching for a man who's supposedly immortal. Imagine that. You're chasing immortality, trying to unlock the secrets of life and death. But of course, nothing goes according to plan. A mysterious plague sweeps through the town. The immortal man you came to find? He's dead. You failed. The town is dying, and it's partly your fault. But here's where it gets interesting. The game gives you a second chance. You return to the beginning with the knowledge of what went wrong, and now you have 12 days to fix everything. 12 days to save an entire town from a plague that you already know will devastate it. 12 days to rewrite history and maybe, just maybe, discover the truth about immortality. The time pressure is real, and it's oppressive. Every single minute in this game counts. You're not just playing through a story at your own pace. The clock is always ticking, people are dying, and you have to make impossible choices about where to spend your time and resources. Do you help this person or that one? Do you investigate this lead or secure medicine? Every decision has weight because you know there isn't enough time to do everything. Now, this is strictly a single-player experience. There's no co-op here, no multiplayer element at all, and honestly, I think that's essential to what the game is trying to do. This is a deeply personal psychological journey. You're alone with your decisions, alone with the consequences, and that isolation is part of what makes it so effective. You can't share the burden with a friend. You have to carry it all yourself, and that weight becomes almost physical as the days progress. The gameplay revolves around this medical detective work that's genuinely fascinating. You're not just shooting zombies or running from monsters. You're examining patients face to face, conducting actual diagnoses. Each patient is their own story, their own medical mystery. The game treats this with real seriousness. You have to observe symptoms, ask questions, separate truth from lies. Because here's the thing, patients lie. They omit crucial information. They hide their motives. Some don't even realize what's wrong with them. You have to be part doctor, part detective, part psychologist. The diagnostic system is complex in the best way. You're looking for real symptoms, trying to piece together what's actually happening versus what people think is happening. It requires attention to detail, medical knowledge that you'll acquire through the game, and a lot of critical thinking. Every successful diagnosis brings you closer to developing a vaccine, which could be the key to saving everyone. But the path there is long and filled with dead ends and false leads. What really sets Pathologic 3 apart is how it handles the management aspect of containing a plague. You're not just treating individual patients, you have actual governmental power over this town. You can enforce quarantines, which sounds reasonable until you realize you're condemning entire districts to isolation. You can confiscate medicine, taking it from some to give to others. You decide who gets vaccinated first when supplies are limited. You can suppress riots with force, deploy patrols, declare curfews. The game gives you these tools and then watches what you do with them. And here's where it gets really uncomfortable. You will make mistakes. You will make decisions that get people killed. You will have to choose between bad options and worse options. Maybe you enforce a harsh quarantine that saves the town but makes people hate you. Maybe you're too lenient and the plague spreads. The game tracks all of this. Your actions shape the town's future and the people's perception of you. They might grow to despise you even as you're desperately trying to save them. Power corrupts, and the game explores that theme mercilessly. The consequence of your choices isn't just narrative flavor. The decrees you issue, the policies you enforce, they change the town in tangible ways. Streets might be filled with gunfire or celebrations depending on how you've governed. The atmosphere shifts based on your leadership. Are you a tyrant who rules through fear? A benevolent doctor who tries to save everyone and ends up saving no one? Something in between? The game doesn't judge you, but it makes sure you feel the weight of every decision. Then there's this time manipulation mechanic that's central to the whole experience. You can rewind time. If you think you made a mistake, you can go back and try again. On the surface, this sounds like it would make the game easier, remove the stakes, but it actually does the opposite. It makes you responsible for every outcome. You can't blame bad luck or circumstances. If things go wrong, it's because you chose poorly, and you have the power to go back and choose differently. The question becomes, how many times will you rewind? How much will you sacrifice to achieve the perfect outcome? Can you even reach a perfect outcome, or is that just an illusion? This creates this fascinating moral web where you're constantly second-guessing yourself. Did I make the right call? Should I go back? If I change this, what else changes? The branching narrative paths are extensive, and the game doesn't hold your hand. It trusts you to navigate these moral dilemmas on your own, to live with your choices, or to keep chasing that better timeline. Now let's talk about something that makes Pathologic 3 truly unique. Your mental state as a character matters. This isn't just a health bar you need to keep topped up. Your psychological condition directly affects how you perceive the world, how you interpret events, even what actions you can take. If you fall into apathy, you start to detach from the suffering around you. Maybe that makes certain brutal decisions easier, but at what cost? If you swing into mania, you might gain new insights, see connections others miss, but you're also unreliable, potentially dangerous to yourself and others. The game uses this mechanic to brilliant effect. You start to question what's real, and what's your deteriorating mental state interpreting things through a warped lens. Are you actually discovering profound truths, or are you just spiraling into madness? The line gets blurrier as the days pass and the pressure mounts. It's psychological horror in its purest form, where the real monster might be your own crumbling psyche. Visually, Pathologic 3 has this distinct aesthetic that's hard to describe. It's not going for photorealism. There's an almost painterly quality to it at times, slightly surreal, which fits the psychological nature of the game perfectly. The town itself feels like a character. It's this remote, isolated place deep in the steppe, cut off from the outside world. The architecture is unique, mixing different cultural influences in a way that feels both authentic and otherworldly. As the plague progresses, you watch the town physically deteriorate. Streets that were busy become empty. Buildings get boarded up. Bodies appear. The visual decay mirrors the narrative decay, and it's genuinely disturbing. The atmosphere is oppressive in the best possible way. The sound design deserves special mention. The ambient noises, the way sound travels through empty streets, the distant sounds of suffering, the eerie quiet that falls when a district is fully quarantined. Music is used sparingly but effectively, often unsettling, always purposeful. When you're examining a patient and trying to make a diagnosis, the audio cues help build this tension. Every cough, every labored breath, every pause in their story becomes significant. Performance-wise, the game is well optimized from what I've experienced. It's not the most demanding game graphically, but that distinctive art style requires decent hardware to really shine. The lighting effects, especially how they handle day-night cycles and the changing atmosphere as the plague worsens, are really well done. Load times are reasonable, and I haven't encountered any major technical issues that broke immersion. The pacing is something you need to be prepared for. This is not a game you can rush through. Those 12 days translate to significant playtime, and each day is dense with choices, investigations, and consequences. You can't just blast through the story. You need to think, to observe, to carefully consider your options. Some people might find this slow, but I think it's essential to what the game is trying to achieve. The deliberate pacing forces you to sit with your decisions, to feel the weight of time passing. One thing I really appreciate is how the game handles knowledge and progression. As Denkovsky, you're brilliant, but you don't know everything about this specific plague or this town. You learn through experience, through investigation, through talking to people. The game respects your intelligence. It doesn't spell everything out. There are mysteries that require real thought to unravel. The immortality angle, the nature of the plague, the secrets of the town, these aren't just MacGuffins, they're genuine puzzles woven into the narrative. The writing is exceptional, which it needs to be for a game this dialogue and choice heavy. Characters feel real. They have their own agendas, their own fears, their own reasons for helping or hindering you. No one is purely good or evil. The town's inhabitants are complex, flawed people trying to survive an impossible situation, just like you. Conversations matter. The information you gather from talking to people isn't just flavor text. It's crucial to understanding the medical mysteries and the larger narrative. What strikes me most about Pathologic 3 is how it uses the medium of games to explore themes that would be difficult in other formats. The interactivity forces you to engage with moral questions in a direct way. You can't just watch a character make a tough choice and judge them from a distance. You have to make that choice. You have to live with it. The time loop mechanic adds another layer, asking how far you'll go, how much you'll sacrifice, how many times you'll replay events to get the outcome you want. It's a commentary on player agency and perfectionism in games themselves. This is not a game for everyone, and I say that not as a criticism, but as a fact. If you want fast-paced action, clear-cut good and evil, or a power fantasy where you're always winning, look elsewhere. Pathologic 3 is challenging, deliberately uncomfortable, and at times, genuinely distressing. You will fail. You will watch people die that you wanted to save. You will make choices you're not proud of. The game is designed to push you to your limits and then ask if you'll push further. But if you're looking for something that will stick with you, something that treats you like an intelligent adult capable of handling complex moral questions, something that uses horror not for cheap thrills, but for genuine psychological exploration, then Pathologic 3 is absolutely worth your time. It's ambitious, uncompromising, and utterly unique in the current gaming landscape. I keep coming back to this idea of responsibility that the game explores. In most games, failure means a game over screen and you try again. Here, failure is woven into the narrative. You can rewind, but that doesn't erase what happened. You carry that knowledge with you. You know what your choices led to. The game asks if the ends justify the means, if saving the many justifies sacrificing the few, if maintaining your own sanity is selfish when people need you at your sharpest, even if that means breaking yourself. Pathologic 3 is brilliant, disturbing, exhausting in the best way, and absolutely unforgettable. It's a game that respects your time by giving you something substantial to chew on, something that will make you think long after you've stopped playing. If you're ready for that kind of experience, if you want a game that will challenge you intellectually and emotionally, then I can't recommend it enough. Just know what you're getting into. This isn't escapism. This is confrontation with some of the darkest aspects of human nature and impossible choices. And somehow, through all that darkness, it's also a game about hope, about the desperate human drive to save lives, to find meaning, to matter even when everything is falling apart.